This is Festival Sounds. Hey, Tilly.
Hi, Bilal.
We have got James, also known as Primary School Bangers, on. Amazingly, we spend the first 5 minutes chatting about the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, and where you would hide on the Glastonbury site, specifically where you would be safest.
But if you're really interested in Primary School Bangers and James's story on how he took this concept during COVID onto the stage and then ultimately at festivals and then packing out a crowd at Theatre and Circus at Glastonbury last year, if you want to hear that story, stick with us past the zombie apocalypse, and he's got a really interesting story to tell.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's playing every single day of Glastonbury this year. Is that not the most amazing thing you've ever heard?
He's living the dream. Welcome to the podcast, James.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's lovely to have you here.
This is great. On a beautifully sunny afternoon, it is getting me in the mood for festivals.
It's definitely, it's warming up to festival season.
I'm almost kind of like, I love this weather right now, but I hope we don't just like get through this lovely May and then in June it's just a washout.
Yeah, maybe pause the good weather now and then save it till June.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't care if it rains for like the next 2 weeks. Just get all the rain out of the way, and then by the time we get to June, then we can have the beautiful weather like this.
Do you have those moments where you stood out in the garden, in a field somewhere, and you think, oh, this reminds me of a festival? Do you do that?
I don't really stand outside that often in a stationary. No, I know what you mean.
I'm sounding like that gif of Pablo Escobar just stood in the fields, just looking somber.
I'm picturing you, Bill, just putting your tent up for no reason and just going sitting in it, being like, I can't wait for festivals.
That literally happened this weekend.
I am going to probably have to find some... But basically, I live in quite like a built-up area of London, so there aren't that many green spaces I can like just go and hang out. I don't have a garden, sadly. Hopefully, I can find a time in the next month that I can find a green space and pitch up a tent just to practice for Glastonbury. Because last year I did that. I bought a new tent and I went with my brother to a little park. We were in the park setting up this tent, and then this woman came running over and I thought, oh my God, she's either going to say you're not allowed to do that here, or she's going to ask us if we're going to Glastonbury. And she came over and was like, are you guys going to Glastonbury by any chance? And I said, oh, okay, yes, we are. Okay, Don't worry, we're not going to get turfed out. Because it's like, it's like quite a posh area and like a park. So I thought, oh, we're going to get kicked out of this area.
She knew that the prep was on. She was like, well, I can see what they're doing.
Well, she saw the smiles on our faces and...
she heard festival sounds blaring out of your headphones, of course.
With the iconic theme tune.
It's not a routine, but I find myself doing things just almost instinctively. Like I see my battery pack for my phone and I think, oh, I'll just charge that and see if that works. And then I think, oh, wait a minute, I did this last year as well. It's becoming routine, but almost by accident. You just kind of, it's the warm up.
It's just the headspace. You've got to lock in, haven't you?
I started looking at your packing list on your website earlier, just for fun. I was like, okay, what do I need to get? I have actually bought one thing, which I have never had before, and it's like one of these like apocalypse crank up radios. So like if all else fails, then like there's like I bought it after all the power went in like Spain and Portugal, and on the news they were like, you should buy a crank up radio. So that means, or battery powered radio, or solar powered or whatever. So it can do all of those things, and it means that if all the power goes in England for whatever reason, then at least you can like tune into the kind of the emergency radio. This is sounding like a very apocalyptic vision now. But
I thought you were just going to say if all else fails, you can listen to like 6 Music. I was like, woo!
In all else fails, I can Bluetooth festival sounds to that, and that'll keep me going through the dark times.
Perfect.
We need to do an episode on survival tips. They're fine, and like our listeners will go up through the roof in the event of the apocalypse.
Yeah, not just for festivals.
Yeah.
This is going to be, we haven't actually asked you any proper questions yet, James, but this question's just come into my head. If the apocalypse landed while you're at Glastonbury, where would you go to survive, to ride it out at Glastonbury Festival?
I genuinely think you wouldn't be able to tell.
That's probably quite true.
If the apocalypse happened while Glastonbury was on, nobody's got any phone signal anyway. Everyone kind of looks like they might kind of be in a post-apocalyptic world. Everyone's looking kind of half dead anyway, or completely joyous to the point where, you're celebrating for some reason. But where would I go? I think somewhere like the Stone Circle, just to kind of like pray to some kind of pagan gods that they can help us, or just like climb to the top of the tower, like the Ribbon Tower.
That's a good one.
Take some kind of weapon with you so that if someone, the zombies start climbing up the tower, then you'll be safe.
Yeah. You can always chop the ribbons off and just make a big help flag or something.
There we go.
I
love the direction this has gone.
Is it wrong that I thought the cider bus? I was just like, that's the first place I'd go.
Well, this is a time to locate the underground piano bar, because surely you just close up the entrance and then you're set.
You can go on the upper deck. You sit there with a cider watching it unfold. With hindsight, the Ribbon Tower is a smart option.
I think that if you went to the long drops, no zombies would come anywhere near them because of the smell.
They'd probably think you're already dead, because they'd be like, why are you hanging out in the long drops?
yeah, exactly. But no, I like the underground piano bar. That's a good shout. Just close it off. And then make sure there's enough alcohol in there to keep you going for a while.
And make sure there's enough artists in there that you could just have some jazz playing in the background of the apocalypse.
They close it off, and then Chris Martin comes out and says, guys, let me make it better. Let me help you heal. And you go, oh no, what have I done?
Everyone starts jumping out.
Take me now.
Let the zombies in.
I can see this now on the OOF Discord. There's going to be some kind of rumor, secret set Chris Martin in the underground piano bar.
In the underground zombie apocalypse.
I've never been to the underground piano bar. Is it even there?
I've actually never been either.
No.
I know it exists, but I don't know.
It's on my to-do list. Apparently, it's up by the Stone Circle. So, in the event of the apocalypse, you'll be in the right place anyway.
You're halfway there.
Okay, that sounds good. To be fair, I haven't spent a huge amount of time at the Stone Circle either, so that can be on my list for this year.
Yeah.
The last time Tilly and I were there, a total stranger came up to us and said, "Oh, give us a hug," and one of us did. One of the group did, and he said, "No, that's not a hug." And he's like, "Squeeze me tighter," and he did, and he said, "No," and then screamed. He said, "Squeeze me like I'm a froob," and we thought, do you know what? Maybe the Stone Circle isn't for us.
And that man was Chris Martin.
Froob Martin. Yeah.
We should probably ask you a question.
We probably should actually ask you a real question about who you are and Primary School Bangers, which is the best thing ever. What is it?
If you are listening to this and you've never heard of Primary School Bangers, it is a show that I've created off the back of my music teaching that I was doing during lockdown. So I am a music teacher, a primary school teacher, and so it's not completely random. I didn't just randomly come up with this idea. So I was teaching a lot of the songs that we all sang as kids in school assembly. I still teach a lot of them. During lockdown, I was doing a lot of online lessons, and let's say the quality was not amazing by trying to do it over Zoom. So I made some backing tracks on YouTube for my pupils to sing along to. Off the back of that, someone said, "Oh, why don't you put some things on TikTok as well? Because that's where the kids are at these days." I can't remember, it was like the 7th or 8th video I actually posted was one which I call my top 10 primary school bangers. This video kind of kicked off and I got lots of comments on it, lots of memories, lots of messages, all talking about people's favorite school songs and their memories from school, which is amazing. That kind of just sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole, going through my school books that I've still got and posting videos for people to watch or sing along to. And then I started doing TikTok live streams about 3 or 4 times a week during that time. Just for fun, and people really enjoyed it. And then when the lockdown time finished, I thought, oh, that was quite fun doing those live streams, because people would they would comment in real time as I was playing, and they would say, "Oh, can you play this song or that song?" It wasn't just the school songs, it was some other tunes as well. And then I thought, let's just do like a one-off sing along of this content. And so I did that at the beginning of 2022 to about 30 people in a bar in Soho, in a cocktail bar. Didn't think, as you do, didn't think much of it. And then it got to the end of that year and I thought, oh, that was actually quite a fun concept. I wonder if I can kind of rewrite it a bit. And so I rewrote it when I was on holiday in the States. I was feeling a bit homesick, I think, and I kind of wrote this kind of love letter to my primary school days, and I kind of wrote this like 2-hour show, and I went to another cocktail bar because that's a place I hang out in East London.
I love this. This is my kind of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Cocktail bars.
People were drinking espresso martinis and mojitos, and then I basically did this 2-hour show. It's like a whole story that I was telling with all these sing-alongs interspersed throughout it, and people really enjoyed it. And I put some clips online, and then it's just snowballed over the last 2 years to the point where I'm doing, shows around the whole of the UK, and even I've written a Christmas version of the show, and I did a Christmas tour last year, and I'm doing another one this year. And last year I had this amazing moment where I played at Glastonbury Festival. So it's been a pretty unexpected but cool journey with this thing that started out of the dark days of lockdown.
It's so cool.
How did you get to that point where you thought, do you know what? If I play this in a bar, people will come? Did you have to? Was it all your friends and family? Who was there?
I used to sing at a musical theatre, kind of monthly musical theatre night at a place it's called the Phoenix Arts Club, which is like the basement underneath the Phoenix Theatre in Soho. And a friend of mine organised this musical theatre night, and I would quite often go along, play the piano, maybe do a couple of original songs, but mostly kind of musical theatre songs. And then he was basically struggling for one of the months to come up with an idea for it. So he said, "Oh, do you want to do something? Just host it." And I thought, do you know what? I'll still do some musical theatre songs, but then I'll do the primary school bangers just randomly. I'll just do like a top 20 and see what happens. And it was fine. It wasn't like an amazing reaction, but when I rewrote it, the reaction was really fantastic. And people just, from the first song, they just went for it. They sang as loud as they could, and I didn't even need to encourage anyone to join in, probably with the help of a bit of singing juice, a few cocktails.
Some of those cocktails.
Yeah, that probably helped. And I have to say that has become a recurring theme in the shows that I do. And a lot of the venues actually say to me after the show, that's the highest bar sales we've had ever in all of our shows. And it's
That's
basically
wild.
a load. I mean, my audience, for some reason, I didn't set out for it to be this way, but my audience is majority women in their mid 30s to mid 40s kind of thing. That's the kind of, that for some reason, that is the majority of people that come to my show. It doesn't have to be, but that's just what it is. But they're also up for a bit of a drink. And so a lot of venues say by the interval they've run out of Prosecco. So
That's
it says
incredible.
a lot. What do you think, why do you think, obviously women in their 30s, 40s, but why do you think anyone loves this concept so much?
There is a huge element of nostalgia, first of all. It's fun. It is quite escapist in a time where, if you look at the news, it's always extremely depressing. It's also... It's a way that you can go and see a show, get involved by singing along, but also you don't have to sing. So I kind of wrote the show so it's quite snappy. So all the songs I sing are about 1 to 2 minutes long. They're all quite short, really. But I just kind of keep it rolling, and I kind of tell stories between the songs. And so it is quite engaging, I think. But I think the main thing is it's also a bit of a safe space, so people can come along, and if they want to sing, they can. If they don't have to. Or some people really get into it and come in school uniform and do actions and all sorts of stuff.
That would be me, by the way. That would literally be me.
You're welcome anytime. Yeah, I think there is that kind of like escapist element of something that's just kind of purely joyful as well, and just a chance to have a good old sing-along in a context that isn't in a church or in a choir or somewhere that you might get judged for singing, possibly. Because my brother's a musical theatre performer, and a lot of people sing during the musicals, but they always get told to shush, So this gives people a chance to actually sing out.
I think there's something in that joy. When I've seen your TikToks and the videos, the people's faces,
yeah,
they're absolutely bellowing out tunes, and it's carefree. They don't care what's going on elsewhere in the world. That everyone who is around them is doing the same thing, and everybody naturally, as they grow older, you get those hang-ups, don't you? But it takes you back to that primary school day where you're just with your mates and you're just singing at the top of your voice. I get why you need some Prosecco, because singing is thirsty work, right? But the looks on people's faces, joy sums it up. And how does it feel to take a concept and get that reaction?
Well, basically, I've discovered that everybody needs therapy, and this is the way to do it. And it's cheaper. It's cheaper than therapy, and it's also more effective.
It's honestly so true. Everybody deep down wants to be in primary school again. Like, everybody wants to relive it. So it's like, well, you can just relive it through the songs.
I think there's definitely that, and also I think a lot of people genuinely kind of crave something communal, and that's why obviously festivals are so successful. Not just obviously the big ones, but smaller festivals are so successful because people genuinely crave those communal moments. Doing the show and seeing the joy in people's faces has helped my mental health, and that's great. And it's, getting out there and meeting people, and some people message me to say, oh, I've had a really crap week and this has really just lifted me out of it. And just singing those songs, just having a night of pure joy and not having to worry about anything, it's really nice. It's I can't really hope for anything better. And when people say, a lot of people have asked me, oh, what's the next thing for you? What's your next show, or what are you going to do next? I think, well, I don't really know. I'm kind of rolling with it right now. But the main thing is that it's just great to see people happy and having a good time.
I think there's a stroke of genius in coming up with the idea. I think that's absolutely brilliant. What was your first festival?
The first festivals I did with Primary School Bangers were 2023 summer. I think the first festival I did was one called Nostock in Herefordshire. It's a proper ravey festival, and a friend of mine was organising the theatre stage, essentially, where they do the comedy and they do talks and they have musical acts and cabaret stuff. And he said, oh, do you want to come along and do an hour of your primary school assembly bangers? And I said, okay, yeah, sure, it's going to go down well with the rave crowd. And he said, oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll see how it goes. It was the Sunday afternoon. So I think by that point in the weekend, everyone was just feeling a bit mellow. And it's not a massive festival. It's not a massive site. As the set went on, more and more people started to gather around. And it was a lovely gig. And then they asked me back last year and I did it. And last year, I think a lot of people returned from the previous year. The crowd was like 3 times the size. So
cool.
It's great, all sorts of people going past and everyone just loves to sing along.
Do you get people at the festivals also shouting out like songs for you to do as well?
Yeah. So I have a few kind of interactive bits. So I did a bit about like 90s children's TV theme tunes, and then some people were shouting out suggestions and things like that. Yeah. So I did Nostock, and then actually a couple of days later I did Latitude. But at Latitude, it was actually a parent and child tent. So like, I guess the kids' field equivalent kind of thing. That was actually quite a hard gig, I've got to say, because it was about 9 a.m. Or something.
There's not much alcohol flowing at 9 a.m.
No.
And not in a kids' tent.
That surprised me that it was a harder gig.
There were lots of kids there, and so I tried to change the set a bit for children.
How much do you have to change for children? It's called Primary School Bangers.
But this is like 90s Primary School Bangers, is it not?
So yeah, it is.
Are you telling me that kids are sat there now going, why are we still doing the 90s stuff in class?
Can't lie. When my mum talks about like the songs she sang at school, and then the songs we sang at school were like super strange compared to some of the old school ones. Like,
really?
Don't get me wrong, we were singing Harvest Festival, we were singing things like that, but we also had ones like, we're a really cool school, like we were, they were trying to be cool and edgy.
Got to stick with the old, stick with the old ones.
The oldies are the besties, but
well, there are some great new assembly songs actually that I've done. The Harvest Samba, Cabbages and Greens, that one.
Love that one.
It's got a great beat.
It's another Harvest Festival.
This has blown my mind. I had no idea that. I just thought it was the same hymn book, The same primary school bangers from the 80s, but no.
Well, there was a bit of a shift. Yeah, after the 90s, I think things changed quite a lot in a lot of schools because everything became digitized. And a lot of these songbooks, people just kind of questioned why we still use them. So a lot of the songs actually fell by the wayside. And actually, I think probably another reason why people enjoy the show so much is that it does hark back to that time before social media and before the internet kind of took over. So it's kind of like that kind of pre-technology nostalgia, I suppose, which is kind of ironic actually, because the way that I do the lyrics is not with a projector, is with QR codes. So people scan the lyrics on their phone, so they got their own song sheet on their phone, so people do look at their phones for the lyrics.
I was wondering that when I was watching your TikToks, and I was like, how, I love a good primary school banner, but how does everyone know all of the lyrics? I was thinking, do you just get mega fans?
I can't do that at festivals though, because the Wi-Fi is not good enough. So I just say, if you know the words, sing it out nice and loud. If you don't know the words, you can do what you did at school and make them up.
That's the coolest feature. No teacher ever said that to me.
Yeah.
This is fascinating to me. And so you must have, a difficult gig though it may be at Latitude, you must have, between that summer of gigs, you must have resonated with the festival organisers. People must have realised, look, we're onto something here. Because since then, I've seen your TikTok. You've done a lot of these now.
Yeah, I mean, so that year I only did a few festivals, and then last year I did a few more, but the big one was Glastonbury, and then this year I've got quite a few festivals coming up. But I was actually a little nervous as to how it would go down at a festival, because at your own show, you know kind of what the audience is going to be like. It's either people that follow me online, or friends of people that follow me online, or just people that are genuinely curious about a show called Primary School Bangers, and think, oh, that sounds like it might be a laugh. Let's go along to that. So it's people that have chosen specifically to come to that show, and I can control the room. But at a festival, you can't control who's watching it. And the one thing that I found, which was actually amazing from the festival gigs I've done, is that there are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of things to see at any festival. And in the shows that I've done, the vast majority of people have actually stayed for the entire set. And actually thinking back on it, it's like, apart from the big bands, how many sets do you watch the entirety of it?
And how many sets have literally every single person singing along? Not many.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Do you know what? I was last year I was watching Two Door Cinema Club, who, I like their music, but I was watching them and the guy had absolutely zero stage chat. He didn't say anything in between the songs. They just played the song, went on to the next song, didn't even say thank you very much or whatever. I was just like, oh, come on, mate, give it, everyone's come to watch you. So no wonder some people are kind of wandering off. They are probably slightly cooler. I don't know. But
no, they're not.
Never.
I promise you they are not. You're onto something. Staying throughout the gig, and also I think a lot of people will hear what you're doing and change course and think, actually, I want to head to that. That takes something, because you're different and you've caught people's attention, and that's not easy.
Yeah, if I was walking past the stage, if I was walking along at Glastonbury and I hear a whole load of people singing a primary school song, I'd be like, I am beelining straight to there.
And even just the name of the show on the app, I kind of wanted people to be scrolling through the app and thinking, all right, what am I going to see today, Thursday afternoon, 3:00? Oh, there's something called Primary School. Even if you've never heard of this show, that sounds intriguing. And then they think, actually, this is really fun. And then, stay for the whole thing, which has been great.
What stage did you play at Glastonbury last year?
So I played at a stage called The Glebe in the Theatre and Circus Fields. So when you come in to the Theatre and Circus Fields, if you know the site, and it's the first stage on the left.
I know where you mean.
It used to be just a tiny little riser, but last year they actually had a proper big stage.
Are you on the same stage this year or different?
I am, but they've renamed it the Summer House. So
the primary school house.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also doing a set on the Sensation Seekers stage, which is by the southeast corner. I don't know if you've seen Doreen or Wheel of Fortunes.
That's what Doreen.
Yeah, that's the stage they do.
Yeah.
I don't know what time I'm on, but I'll be there.
Come Glastonbury build-up, we are going to call out the set time and the stages, and we're going to make sure people know when you're playing. I'm looking at your TikTok right now from Glastonbury. I can't see the end of the crowd.
Yeah,
like it goes on forever. You filled that field.
It was really great, and I'm actually, because I was thinking, if I could choose what stage I'd be on this year, that's kind of like achievable for me. Would I want to go to like a tent or something? And I thought, maybe like the cabaret tent would be fun. But actually, being on that outdoor space is really nice because it can expand quite a lot to, having lots and lots of people there. They did try and get me on the park actually for this year, but it didn't quite work out. So that would have been really cool. Wow.
You could have been at the Ribbon Tower listening to Primary School Bangers while hiding from the zombie apocalypse.
Genuinely, this looks like, guys, we need to shut the area down. We can't let any more people in here.
Secret set, Primary School Bangers.
Instead of the LED signs that say Southeast Corner is closed, please find alternate, things to do. Theatre and Circus is shut down. But that actually, that is the route up until up to the acoustic stage as well. So might have to be a little bit careful. We'll see what happens this year.
It's not easy as well as a solo artist to be out there, and it's quite a raw thing as well, isn't it? It's you, a keyboard, and then the audience. There's not that production behind. There's not a band to hide behind. How do you handle that? Do you get butterflies before you go on stage?
I was really nervous. So yesterday, yesterday as we're recording, I posted a video on my TikTok, which just to kind of get people excited for Glastonbury, which was just saying Primary School Bangers, Glastonbury 2025 confirmed, and in the video, I've got some like backstage shots that I just had on my laptop that I never posted at the time. And then watching them back, I thought, oh God, I'm so nervous. And looking it back, I'm kind of like pacing around. And the guy that went on before me at the on the Thursday, he was kind of milking the fact that there was a massive audience. So it got to my stage time. I was like, okay, I'm mentally prepared now. I'm ready to go on. And then another 10 minutes passed. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go on. And then another 10 minutes passed. I was like, all right, I just want to get on stage. I just want to, just do it now, because otherwise I'm going to get too nervous. I won't be able to do it.
The guy ahead of you is like, they're here for me.
Yeah. I actually wondered whether they were
from Two Door Cinema Club.
It was Two Door Cinema Club with Chris Martin, to be fair. So, but there was a point where I was like, "Hang on, are they actually here for this guy?" Then in the distance, I could hear someone singing. He's got the whole world in his hands, and I thought, "Oh, okay,
they are here for me." That's so cool.
Yeah, read the room, fella. Read the room.
Does it ever make you feel like a deity when people are singing like "Shine, let it shine," and you're like, "What?" Does it ever feel really weird?
It is quite an odd experience, because as a teacher, I'm usually used to trying to encourage people to sing up, so it's nice to be able to be in a position where I'm not like, all right, everybody sing a bit louder, come on, sing up, so that's nice. And also usually I'm either in a small group of children or one-on-one lesson. Yeah, but having a big crowd is amazing. Yeah, it's great.
How's it different? Festival crowd to your own crowd?
To primary
Do you feel
crowd.
like you've got to go in with one that everybody knows just to catch them? Do you have to do it differently?
I am going to rewrite the set for this summer. And start with a banger, because I think the last year I did start with one that wasn't as well known. So I'm going to start off with One More Step Along the World I Go, I think, which is a great tune. It's a summer, it's a Leavers Assembly sing along as well. So I think that's quite a good summary one to start off with.
Tilly is one prompt away from singing right now. I can see it in her face.
I am. I had to message my family group chat, what is your favourite primary school songs? And my sister hit me with a few. Some of these are like the modern ones, so I don't know, Bill, whether you'll know them. Mr. Boomer in the corner over there. But there's one where basically I remember this song basically taught me how to rap, because you're clapping and you're saying like, everybody's special, everybody's got gifts, and I genuinely, that's probably why I know how to rap today. Love that one.
How I know how to rap. The whole sentence is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
I was like in year 4 being like, I know the whole thing. Mum, listen to me.
Do you think that's Eminem? That's how Eminem started, just listening to that song as well?
I think that was Eminem's roots, to be honest, was primary school singing.
Yeah.
And the other one she said was the Spring Chicken song. I love that one. Classic.
That's a good one. That is a good one, to be fair. That's a newer Easter classic.
Yeah. And there was one, obviously the Harvest Festival one. Mm-hmm. But there was like a Wake Up one.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
Wake Up, Shake Up.
Yes, that's the one.
There's a couple that actually wrote all of those new school assembly songs. So everyone that you know, like the Harvest Samba, Spring Chicken, all of those tunes were written by this couple. And they're called Mark and Helen Johnson. They've got a company called Out of the Art Music. So hundreds of primary schools across the UK, they use these new songs instead of the old ones. And I actually met them. They came to one of my shows and they said, he said, I'm Mark and this is my wife Helen. We wrote one of the songs you sang this evening. I said, hang on, what? You're the guys that, because I've been teaching their songs to my pupils for the last however long, 10 years probably. And I thought, oh my God, I was like, I feel like I just met Beyonce right now.
Does it feel strange to be fangirling over people who write primary school songs, but like,
yes,
so iconic?
Well, I met the guy that wrote "Shine Jesus Shine" as well. So I went and interviewed him for my podcast, and that was, I felt very much like I was fanning him as well.
So he would be your Chris Martin in a piano bar. You'd be like, yes, shine Jesus shine.
Yeah, and I got him on stage with me as well.
That is cool.
Wow.
Which was
guest
great.
Appearances as well.
Someone did message me literally a few hours ago saying, any chance you can get him along to Glastonbury? And I said, well, unless he's got a ticket already, I don't think I can do that. And he said, that's really disappointing. I said, look, I'd love to.
You know how much sway I have, but it's not that much. I
think the reply was, that's really disappointing. A whole field singing "Shine Jesus Shine" would have been really good. And I said, I'm still going to sing the song, but I can't get him in, and I don't think he would probably even want to come. I don't know.
This is where you are now. People see you with that kind of, you bring a whole stage crew with you, and they're all, they see you as this huge production. But it's just you by yourself, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, it's like when Elton John came on and everyone was like, who's the rumor? You're going to have Britney Spears coming on. It's going to be like, who's coming on with Primary School Bangers? But yeah, no, it's literally just me. It's me and a piano.
If you could have anyone come out with you, like any celebrity ever, who would you just like randomly bring out? Elton John? Like, who would you bring out?
I think one of the reasons why this has been quite successful is just because it's quite incongruous to the surroundings. So singing Primary School Bangers in a festival field or a cocktail bar, I just think, what? That does not work. So I think the special guest would have to be someone that kind of amplifies that. So it'd have to be like Stormzy or someone, or just someone so like, what is going on here? Someone so random.
Amazing. That would be so good.
And now duetting Jeff Goldblum.
What?
Yeah, just someone so incredibly random. I saw on the Glastonbury Instagram, they just posted the cinema, the Pilton cinema thing stage, and they have a load of Q&As with celebrities. And I saw they had Margot Robbie is going to be there doing a Q&A this year, and I thought, if I'll get her on stage and we can sing like the Neighbours theme tune or something, was it Neighbours she was in, or Home and Away or something?
Neighbours. Yeah, that would be so cool.
Just think, like, you come to see Primary School Bangers and then you see Margot Robbie singing like the Neighbours theme tune. I think something like that would just be so bizarre.
If you put the shout out on TikTok, we'll put the shout out to our listeners now. Can you at Margot Robbie and at Primary School Bangers on Instagram, TikTok, and let's make it happen.
Please.
If we can get enough messages, maybe.
And
surely there's a route in somewhere.
Yeah, if you've heard our theory that Timothée Chalamet is going to be singing, we can get Timothée Chalamet to come on stage with you as well. So Margot Robbie, Timothée Chalamet, Stormzy is great.
It's a super group waiting to happen. I can see that now.
I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed chatting to James.
Oh my God, yeah. I could listen to him talk all day.
Well, that's great, because we've got the second part of his recording and we're going to release it tomorrow.
How handy. What's he talking about?
He's going to explain how he got booked by Glastonbury, and there's some random lobster-related chat.
Exciting.
Please give us a follow on Apple or Spotify. And if you really like the show, give us a 5-star rating.
Thank you. It'll be so helpful.